when it comes to energy needs, big tech is making a very rapid and interesting move. We know that big tech agencies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, and now Meta, they are all going all in on artificial intelligence. They're building out this grid. They're saying this is going to be the future. And you got to wonder, they're going in so hard on this. Is it just to save our likes so we have our family photos on one convenient little page? Well, this is how hard they're going with this AI build out. Take a look at this.
All right.
Meta, now the latest tech company turning to nuclear energy to power large data centers.
Google is turning to nuclear energy to keep up with the demands of artificial intelligence.
Amazon, the latest tech giant to make a big investment in nuclear energy in hopes of supplying the power to fuel its AI ambitions.
Tech companies are in a little bit of a bind because of AI's energy demands. You know, they've made these commitments to transition to zero emissions, and now they all need more power than anyone imagined to compete in the AI race.
A recent study found that by 2026, data centers across the globe will consume more than 1,000 terawatt hours of electricity. That's about the same amount as the entire nation of Japan.
We're looking forward, and we see the need for gigawatts of power in the coming years, and there's not going to be enough wind and solar projects to be able to meet the need.
Does fail-safe mean they are safe?
We don't have a whole lot of data on how safe they are because they're new. Like any new technology, they have features that are designed to have enormous advantages, and most of the consensus is that these are going to be serious advantages.
It's wild that nuclear is now considered a green energy. Again, I'm on the fence on this one, but I see the benefits. But I also grew up, with 3 Mile Island, and we all went through Fukushima. So,
Yeah, I was started my reporting in 2011 with Fukushima. I mean, it's really interesting how that becomes the thing now because the net zero switchover is not quite working with solar and wind. So here's some of the headlines just to give you an idea on this. Because when I saw this story, I started to get, my internal integrity of the journalist starts to go, wait a minute, I see something wrong with this. So here's the headline. Facebook goes nuclear. Zuckerberg reveals plans, use mini reactors that we don't know if they're safe fully yet, as the guy said. But it says this, in a newsroom post, Meta explained that it aims to add 1 to 4 gigawatts of new nuclear generation capacity in the US beginning in the early 2030s. For context, a typical US nuclear plant has the capacity of about 1 gigawatt. So Zuckerberg saying, I need 4 nuclear power plants to build out my artificial intelligence grid. Okay, well, Amazon, Google, just this past October, same thing, within days of each other. I mean, they all must have been behind the scenes saying, all right, we're ready to do this? Break, let's go. So here's the headline. Amazon, Google make dueling nuclear investments to power data centers with clean energy. There you go, clean energy, okay.
Yeah.
And it says for carbon-free electricity to meet surging demand from data centers and artificial intelligence. Well, here's the problem I have with this. Where you're at in Dallas, the Dallas Observer, just this month in December, put out this headline: Texas winter could see more rolling blackouts. So when the tech companies said they agreed to a net zero future, you and I never agreed to a net zero future. We're kind of questioning it, but we're stuck. We're stuck with the fruits of this rapid switchover, which is higher energy costs, rolling blackouts, uncertainty about our energy. And this is what's happening in Britain. It's not just in America here. In Britain, the age of energy rationing is looming for Britain. These are the headlines. In fact, Britain was supposed to close power plants, nuclear power stations, but they delayed it because of the fears of this net zero could cause electric shortages and price raises. That's the headline. And so the people get rolling blackouts. The big tech agencies get mini nuclear reactors to whatever tune they want. And in Ireland is one of the major hubs in the world of these AI processing data centers. They're called super centers. And let's see how it's worked out for them. This is Politico, mainstream reporting on this. Big tech's AI dream turns into Ireland's energy nightmare. It says, according to Ireland's Central Statistics Office, data centers consumed 21% of all metered electricity last year, exceeding consumption by urban homes for the first time. So data centers are taking, remember, all the people, you're supposed to cut your consumption because we want to, climate change, 1.5 degrees Celsius. Data centers are swooping in. Just take it, forget about it. We're taking more energy than all of your homes in this country. It's like, what's happening here? So we have the International Energy Association, IEA, and they put out a report looking at it's an executive summary about electricity in 2024. So just looking at a snapshot of this past year. And you can see there's a chart they produced here. The hyperscale data centers, that's what they're called, hyperscale data centers. US Northern Virginia is the country, the region that has the most share of worldwide capacity, almost 15%. And then third there is Ireland. But you can see if you look down this list, the US holds the pole position, the major position here with these data centers. So the US is going to be impacted by this. And we look at their analysis and it says data centers are significant drivers of growth in electricity demand in many regions after globally consuming an estimated 460 terawatt hours in 2022. Data centers' total electricity consumption could reach more than 1,000 terawatt hours in 2026. This demand is roughly equivalent to the electricity consumption of Japan. But then we go to another report, and they looked specifically at data centers and this AI boom and what it can mean for the energy sector. And it says large hyperscale data centers, which are increasingly common, have power demands of 100 megawatts or more with an annual electricity consumption equivalent to the electricity demand from around 350 to 400,000 electric cars.
Wow.
This is what we're talking about here. It says in 2023, overall capital investment by just three, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, which are industry leaders in AI adoption and data center installation, was higher than that of the entire U.S. oil and gas industry, totaling around 0.5% of U.S. GDP. This gives you an idea how hard they're racing out to put in this AI grid. We're talking facial recognition, we're talking digital IDs, central bank digital currency banking. I mean, this is what we reported on this before, but we have to think that this is going to be installed and uploaded once these things are fully running online. And they're putting major capital into this. I can't see any other project that has this amount of capital from these big tech companies.
It's hard to not sort of think about. I mean, a lot of people know that I sort of started out in Hollywood as a writer, and everything in my mind sort of turns into a movie. I think it's how I also describe things and how I've been able to sort of make things like vaccines more understandable, is just that idea of how people need to hear it. But I mean, this idea that the World Economic Forum, the WHO, all these globalists are doing everything they can to curb our use of energy, to get us using less and less energy. Smart cities where we walk everywhere we go. We don't use a car, trying to figure out how to, turn our lights off, or rolling blackouts. Meanwhile, the future artificial intelligence that has been the center of every science fiction dystopian nightmare you've ever seen is growing in its energy need to the point where all the energy is going to be going to AI while we wither away and become less and less powerful, less and less capable, more and more broke, inflation going through the roof. And I think in The Matrix, it's been a while since I've watched it, but I'm pretty sure the reason everyone is in jelly with tubes coming out of them is they've become batteries for the AI system, that we just become an energy source for AI. I mean, it is really scary when you think about it, that each one of these groups that's now building an AI needs 4 nuclear power plants just to get started. Where does this go? Does it end up being 20 nuclear power plants per AI as it needs more and more to run the world? And then when the AI is doing all of your modeling and decides what is the value of human beings here, not really much at all. They're using up too much resources. Or whatever the AI mind is thinking, it kind of writes itself right now. And it does, hats off to all of those brilliant writers over the last century, all the way back to Brave New World in 1984 that predicted things like this. It's very scary. And you're like, how about we just don't give it energy? How about if it's going to cost that much, we all just kind of get together and vote and say, don't think we need AI. I think we've been doing just fine without having some super intelligence that sees us all as like annoying house cats.